Now falleth every man to work. The council contrived the fort. The rest cut down trees to make place to pitch their tents. Some provide clapboard to relate the ships. Some make gardens. Some nets, etc. And William Siemens of the Proceedings of the English Colony in Virginia wrote that. Have we crossed the wide ocean only to be shot by natives the minute we set foot in Virginia? We servants gather round our mess pots, but no one eats much. James is crying, sniffling, with snot running into his mouth. I want to go home, he whimpers. Richard keeps his eyes cast down. Reverend Hunt said we'd tell them about the Bible, he said softly. He didn't say they'd want to kill us. Henry slaps him on the back with a loud thwack. You can't believe everything you hear, my boy. Boys and girls, what kind of word is that, thwack? Abram's wild eye is vibrating off to the side. I try not to look at him. After supper, I go to find Captain Smith. He is sitting with his quill and paper, writing. Now he can add that we finally landed in Virginia, but that the natives do not want us here. I stand, waiting quietly. He finishes filling a page, blots the ink carefully, and then looks up at me. Yes, Samuel. Sir, how will we make a settlement if this is Indian land? Will we have a war? He pats a barrel next to him and bids me to sit down. Act that out, boys and girls. You're Captain Smith. Good. So is that like a welcoming thing to do? Just like, yeah, he's like, say, come join us. Come sit, let's talk. The men who came back to England from the Roanoke colony wrote about the Virginia Indians. They are interested in trade, and we have brought the things they prize: copper, metal tools, glass, beads, needles, mirrors, and such. It will be a delicate balance, but if we can find a piece of land they are not using and come to them in peace with goods and trade, I believe we can settle here without a war. He scratches his beard, thinking, we must do it without a war. There are many more of them than there are of us. That night, as we bed down, I feel the rocking of the ship. I try to imagine that we are still out at sea, rather than anchored near this strange new land in Virginia. I wonder if Colin and the other boys at the orphanage were right, that Richard and Reverend Hunt and I will all die here. There is a box we carried with us that was not to be opened until we reached Virginia. It contains the names of the men chosen by the Virginia Company to be our leaders and directions for us from the Virginia Company. Captain Newport gathers the other ship captains and high-ranking gentlemen on the Susan Constant and opens the box. As he reads the names, at first there are no surprises. Now, doesn't that allude to the fact that there will be a surprise? When someone says, at first there are no surprises? So you're in your mind, are you thinking, okay, well then what's the surprise? Right? What do you think the surprise will be? A commoner might be on that list. All right, let's write it.
I'm thinking Samuel might be one.
Samuel will be on the list?
Uh-huh.
Really?
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, he's definitely not only is he a commoner, but he's a child.
He's a page.
He's a page, right.
Maybe Johnson.
As he reads the names, at first there are no surprises. The men on our council will be Edward Murray Wingfield, John Ratcliffe, Christopher Newport, Bartholomew Gosnold, John Martin, and George Kendall. But when he reads the last name on the list, it causes a big ruckus. That name is
Smith.
He is still under arrest, Master Wingfield objects. The fact that he is out of his chains does not mean his name has been cleared. He's a criminal, Captain Ratcliffe. They raised such a fuss that Captain Smith is not allowed to become a council member. I think Captain Smith would make a better leader than most of the men on the council, but what I think doesn't matter. Captain Smith seems determined to stay out of trouble, just as I am, and he accepts the council's decision without a fight. To me, in private, he says, "You will see how quickly they are begging for me for help and advice." Captain Newport reads more of the orders from the Virginia Company. Be careful in choosing a site for the settlement. Go up to the river where you can keep a lookout so the Spanish cannot mount a surprise attack. Take great care not to offend the Virginia natives, and begin trading with them for food right away. Do not write letters home that say anything bad about the New World. People in England must not hear a single thing that would discourage them from coming to Virginia. A few carpenters and sailors go on shore and put together the shallop, a small boat meant for exploring that we brought with us in pieces. Then a group of gentlemen go off to search for a place for us to settle. The reports they've come back with are encouraging. They have met lots of natives and have been welcomed into their villages, invited to eat with them and watch their dances. They say we do not need to fear the natives. When I look at Captain Archer's bandaged hands, I hope they are right. They are also mapping out land and water. They say they have found a point of land with deep water all around and named it Point Comfort. They have planted a tall cross at the mouth of the bay where we first landed and named it the place Cape Henry. The only discouraging news is that they have seen no sign of survivors from the Roanoke colony. And then finally on May 13th, 1607, 17 days after we first landed in Virginia, our explorers bring us news that we have been waiting for. They have chosen a place for us to settle. It's a place where the river is deep, close to shore, so it'll be easy to moor our ships to the trees. It's got fresh water from the river, rabbits, squirrels, birds, mussels, oysters, fish, crabs, strawberries, and mulberries. It's safe from the natives because there are none living nearby. We also will be safe from the Spanish because it's on a peninsula, and we'll be able to see any approaching Spanish ships for miles down the river. They've named the river the James in honor of King James of England, and our settlement will be called Jamestown. The council votes and selects Master Wingfield as our first president. We sail upstream and moor the ships near the chosen site. They seem small, bobbing in the river beneath towering old trees. Their paint of blue, maroon, and yellow, so rich when we began this journey, is now faded and chipped. They have weathered nearly 5 months at sea, and they show it. As the sun sets, I gaze at what will be our new home. There are high bluffs just upstream, but our site has a sandy shoreline along the river. The trees wave their branches in the breeze, and huge gray birds circle, calling out his objection to our presence. We bed down for one last night on the Susan Constant. Okay, can you imagine what he's experiencing? What emotions he has? Knowing that this is the last night on this ship and he's going to get ready to go and help claim that land?
He's freaking out. He's excited.
Yeah, the excitement. It's kind of like when right before you go on vacation, but multiply that by 10. There are 2 forms of personification in this paragraph. Can you go back and find one and write it? Write it in on your dry erase. There's 2 different examples of personification. Or if you want to make it easier, write down the objects being personified. Personification, remember, it's when you take an object or a thing that is not a person and you give it a people-like quality. Write down an object from that chapter or from that paragraph that's being personified. Oh, you're writing down the words that we have. Okay. objects are being personified? What objects have been given people-like qualities? Excellent, Julia. Great, Joshua. Good. Circle the object that was being personified, Charlie, please. Wonderful, Isabella. What object is being personified? Good. Circle the object. Very good. Okay, just in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and help you for those that haven't found it yet. It says, the trees wave their branches in the breeze. Do trees, like waving is kind of like a person-like thing. Like, hey, how's it going? Do trees really wave? But we can give it like a person-like quality when we picture it waving. We visualize better when we give it these types of qualities. The trees waving. What about the birds objecting? Do birds object? Do you ever see birds in the courtroom objecting? No. So that is another people-like quality. So you have the birds there or the trees. We bed down for one last night on the Susan Constant. I lie awake most of the night, excited, a bit scared, wondering, waiting for the first rooster to crow to signal time to go ashore. And the morning of May 14th, even Richard is up and ready before the sunrise. Top of page, what, boys and girls?
68.
I dress quickly and go up on deck and help load the longboat. We pile in as many men and goods as we can. And then the sailors take to the oars and row to shore. When it's my turn, I ride with several of the common men and most of the chicken crates. We unload the crates and set the chickens free to peck around this new world. I wander off a bit before anyone can give me my next task to do. I go a little way into the forest and look around. The trees are so tall. I feel as if I'm in a cathedral. I breathe in the rich smell of damp earth. The leaves are bright and early spring green, and sprinkled along the ground are tiny flowers of white, yellow, and violet. Butterflies and dragonflies add to the riot of color. I am either in a cathedral or in paradise, I think. Stop it.